We don't have any ads on pages that have to do with violence, race, terrorism, those kinds of topics that I don't think any brand would want to be associated with.
Gautam, Quora is huge when it comes to user-generated content. How do you monetize that content?
So our mission is to share and grow the world's knowledge. One of the key parts of that is to make sure that the knowledge on Quora lasts forever. So the way we monetize is through ads, very high relevance, intent-based ads across the platform. And we feel that the revenue from our ads will help support our mission and make sure that we run a sustainable business.
And how big is it an opportunity for brands to collaborate with Quora?
It's a really big opportunity for brands to collaborate with Quora. In fact, the genesis of our ads platform actually came from businesses who were organically very active on Quora in the early days, and they came to us and said, there's an opportunity here for ads. So,
Right.
so a lot of our product market fit around ads came from brands specifically, and we're seeing a lot of organic use cases for brands as well. Consumers writing about brands, brands coming in and advertising on Quora next to that content, lots of high relevance ads. So when a user is actually looking up a question about a product that they want to buy or looking up the brand, there's an opportunity to actually drive conversions there. And finally, a big aspect for brands on Quora is one of the unique things about the platform is it's very safe. We have
Right.
extremely high standards around brand safety.
Right.
We have a policy called Be Nice, Be Respectful, where we expect all discourse on Quora to be of a certain level of civility and quality and respect. And finally, one of the sort of big decisions that we made at Quora is brands, we do not show ads on high risk or non-brand safe pages. So rather than take the risk, we've decided to take the hit, and we don't have any ads on pages that have to do with violence, race, terrorism, those kinds of topics that I don't think any brand would want to be associated with.
Is there a lot of branded content as well on Quora?
So branded content in the sense that, yeah, we do have an option for brands and businesses to now promote their answers on Quora, and we of course label those answers very clearly as being promoted. And yes, we have seen brands and representatives of brands talk about their products. We have, again, policies around that, about clear disclosures and calls to action. But ultimately, the way we look at it is if the content is useful, credible and high quality, we're okay with it.
So Quora is big when it comes to English content.
Yeah.
But in India, growth actually lies in languages.
Yep, yeah, we're seeing that, yeah.
So how do you realize that opportunity?
Yeah, so when I started at working with Quora back in 2017, we existed only in English and a handful of other languages, a few European languages, Spanish, German, and Italian. I think back in 2017 when I started. Our first non-English language after that was Japanese. Now we are actually at 17 languages, including English, with several more in the pipeline coming up. In India, we launched Quora in Hindi last year at the end of May. And in early 2019, in January, we launched Marathi, Bengali, and Tamil. And we have a few more languages in India coming up as well. So the growth has been absolutely phenomenal.
Right. So are you also experimenting with voice, videos? Because voice search is pretty big these days.
I think audio is one of the few mediums, or probably the only medium, that allows you to actually consume it without using your hands and your eyes. Right? So it allows you to it opens up a whole bunch of use cases and a whole bunch of consumption patterns that actually don't exist today for video and
especially
and
in India, when the
Yeah.
population is not used to typing. It's a new thing for
Exactly, yeah.
90% of the users.
So Quora does have an Alexa skill actually,
Okay, yeah.
which one of our engineers put together as sort of like an experiment. We've been exploring voice and video, but we haven't formed a very strong sort of position in the company on this yet. I
Right.
think that's one of the things that, given my focus on India, I'll probably be very closely involved in and driving.
So in the last decade or so, we've seen content exploding. Right. So what are the trends that you've noticed? What future do you see for the industry?
One is, we actually experimented with something. We launched a product called Spaces, last year. It was in fact Diwali of 2018 that we launched it. And Spaces is a community product that we built within Quora to allow people that shared common topics, common context to come together and share knowledge. And one of the reasons we did that was because when you hit a certain scale, people also want that sort of that boundary to talk to people that share a very, very similar context to them. So I think we started with that. Then we heard at a big conference, the F8 conference, that the future is private. So obviously large companies in this space are also talking about that. So I think that's a trend that we're going to see a lot more of across many companies,
Right.
not just Quora and some of the other companies I mentioned. I think the other big trend that we're seeing, and again we tried this out and we're kind of growing this model as well, is I think we're at a stage in India, certainly in India and definitely across the world, where the payments infrastructure allows for rapid, small payments.
Yeah.
So I think we're now going to see an interesting trend around, different payment models for
Right.
contributors, for content owners, for license owners. Of course, depending on the industry and depending on the type of content.
Right. So Gautam, running a new age company could be a lot of hard work. How do you unwind?
I spend a lot of time with family. I have a daughter. She's 4 years old. And of course, the travel, my travel, I travel a lot, so that does take a toll. I'm a very, very avid scuba diver.
Oh,
I've dived all over the world, at least all over Southeast Asia, and I make it a point every year to at least take a week out of my schedule, completely decompress and dive, in different places, even if it means living on a boat for a week.